Before we get started, there's something you should know about the ChoNilla podcast. We like to cuss. And if you don't want your kids to hear it, then listen to us when they're not around. But if you don't mind your kids listening to grown folks talk, then turn this shit up and let the show begin. Our favorite vampire's new single.
Vampire? What?
You're simply indomitable. Make the most of life. Enjoy.
We've heard from this person before?
Yeah, the last episode.
Really?
Yep.
Is he just as a vampire?
No, she's not.
Okay.
It would be fitting, though. It'd be like House of Frankenstein.
It's like the Count's Spotify playlist.
Yeah.
That's it. Magic boy. I want you.
What's she saying?
She wants a magic boy.
Are you turning it down?
Yes.
Thank you.
I couldn't hear you.
Oh.
Magic boy.
Magic boy.
Magic boy.
Magic boy.
Magic boy.
I've never heard this
Magic
song
boy.
before, but it just shows you the predictability. Oh, she needs you. Come to her. Come to her. Magic bee. Magic boy. Magic boy.
Ronan is cringing right now. Have you had enough? I've had enough.
Okay.
The video looks bad.
It's a green screen.
Yeah.
This is another example of people who have money.
Yeah, too much money.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Recording studio producers, y'all are our heroes. She out there looking like Donatella.
Donatella. Ronan, do me a favor and set the volume on your laptop to 50%.
Yeah, that's good. The music, like the background and the quality of the video is not bad. It's like not like, you know what I mean?
Shirley, it's horrible. That's so funny how you're like, well,
it's no. I said
A for effort.
E for effort more than anything. Okay.
Woo! You are listening to the ChoNilla podcast, and I am your co-host Clove,
And I am Shirley, and you're listening to the ChoNilla podcast, as you mentioned, the personal comedy journal of an interracial couple who explores the world from a different perspective and experiences. I'm Shirley, a Black Canadian of Haitian heritage, and Clove,
You already know who I am.
is a French Canadian of some part of European heritage.
That Nilla.
And welcome to the show. I feel kind of rusty. It's been a while. We'll get back into the groove, though. Yes. Getting back into the groove.
Time doesn't exist in podcast space.
I'm going to use that.
Are you?
Yeah. Time doesn't exist in podcast space. Only
Time flies when you podcast.
Only consistency.
Yeah, I've never been on a podcast or have done a podcast where I'm just like, is this gonna be over yet?
No, I've never been in that position where I'm on, but I have had one podcast that I recorded.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, how much can I stretch this? to be over yet.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I really hope.
That's a good sign to wrap it up.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
But it's
Because
like,
your audience will feel that.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's real. Yeah.
Anyways.
You just might as well just wrap it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is what
Okay,
it
wrapping
is.
this shit up.
How are you, babe?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a while, but I'm happy to be back on the mic with you.
I'm locked out of Google.
Yeah, Clove woke me up. You woke me up at what, 6:30, 7, something, just before 7 in the morning. You're so cute. Like,
It's funny you make it sound unusual.
What
It's
do
a
you
good
mean?
time to wake up.
But you woke me up and you were like, I could tell you were scared to wake me up.
Because you had your earplugs in and everything. I was like, oh boy.
Last night was
boy.
rough. I couldn't get, well, first of all,
Yeah.
I couldn't get my mind to chill because I went to bed earlier than expected. You know, Clove's like, you know what, Shirley, I love you, but from now on, you know, I want to go to bed like early so I could wake up early so I could feel like I have a full day.
That's my voice. I love it. That's my voice. Shirley, I would like to go to bed at a decent hour.
Yeah, what's the voice you do for me?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
What is it? Did everybody have their supper?
Yeah, what do I sound like? So you're like, yeah, I really need to go to bed. And then so last night you came to bed and you're like, hey, why don't you just turn off the TV?
Yeah.
Go to bed.
Yeah.
I was like, usually I'm like, I'm sorry that I have an attitude, but I'm
Shirley, you like I don't know if this is because you have insomnia or something, but
I do.
It's like
I'm a night owl.
But
I've always been a night owl.
but it feels like you redline all day.
I do.
And then at night, you'll watch TV or watch a show or get into like a binge watching.
Yeah.
And it's like you just keep going until your body says, nope, I'm done. And it turns off.
It's true.
Do you know what I mean?
I push it to the limit
Yeah.
for my body to be like, I can't.
But here I
It's not
am.
healthy.
Here I am staying up with you and stuff like that. When we're ready to go to bed, it's just like I'm still like jacked up because I just finished watching this show. I'm like, okay, all right. This will take me a couple minutes to get to sleep. Okay, no problem.
It goes to show
Oh,
you.
Shirley's snoring. Okay, we're good.
It goes to show you how different we are because for you, you are very connected to, you're so creative and I love you because you're so connected to what you watch and, you know, like it gets, you know, I didn't know it gets you jacked up. For me, it's like, oh, I get jacked up. Like I get into the emotion of what I'm watching, but I've pushed my body to the limit of staying up that I'm like, okay, I'm good now. It's time for bed.
Yeah.
But you're
in a shared space with me. And the TV's on.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. So, yeah.
Trust me, like when Vanjie, gets kicked out of Drag Race, I'm like, I'm jacked up for a while. Damn it.
And you're like, damn you, Brooklyn Heights.
Yeah. Trash.
You're like, typical Canadian. How did we even get here? Oh, yeah. So we went
My Google's broken.
Right. And then how I went to bed around 11 because you said, won't you turn off the TV? Get some sleep. And
I want to watch TV.
I was like, okay, fine. Like, because I was like, you know what? And you're right. Like yesterday, we woke up at 10, started really getting things going around 2. And I felt horrible. The rest, I felt not.
Then you said you wanted to go to IKEA at like 4. And I was like, okay, that sounds reasonable. Then I looked down at the clock. It's already 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's already 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, what?
Yeah. I couldn't do it. My body said nope.
I'm so old and tired.
Yeah.
I need like 10 hours sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, fine. Okay, let's do this adult thing. Let's grow up and go to bed at 11. No later than 11.
But other than my Google being broken, I got a new art digitizer, which I'm really excited about.
I'm not there. We're not there yet. I'm not done with my story.
No problem. Go ahead, baby.
Anyway, my point was that going to bed was tough because you
Yes.
said, because it's going back to you saying you're like, I could tell you're afraid to wake me up because I had my like earplugs. And the reason I had my earplugs is not I wasn't used to going to bed that early that my brain was still going, right?
Okay.
And so I was hearing everything from
Okay.
Google Rain sound, the fan, and your snoring. And those combos of three
Okay.
was driving me crazy. And I was like, I could get up now, go downstairs, and just binge watch Ragnarok. You know,
Yeah.
awesome show, by the way, on Netflix. Or I could just keep adulting and just figure out to go to sleep. So that way I could feel refreshed, which I do today. Nothing like Sunday. And so I put on the earplugs. And then when you woke me up in the morning, you were like, oh my gosh. Yeah, you look really, really scared. And then, I guess, you needed help.
I should have got a broom and just like poked you from far away. Just like, hey, Shirley.
Do you know what, Clove? I'm going to be real. For a split second when you woke me up, and
You're always grumpy when you wake up. Though.
I am.
Always.
I'm working on that.
No, you're not.
No, I am. You know how? Because I was gonna snap at you, and then I looked at you. I saw you. I was like, "Don't do that. Don't do that. This can ruin his mood and your mood, and that's just not cool. And it's gonna take a long time to recover and get back to goodness. So just don't do the bartender breathe. Stop it." So I made a decision. I'm proud of myself. I did not succumb to the grumpy morning wake up.
Okay.
And then just kind of, I was thoughtful in my waking up. Yes, you were talking about your device.
I'm done.
What?
That was it. I got a digitizer. That's it.
But
I'm excited about it. I'm gonna get to draw.
No, it's not a digitizer.
Sure, it is.
Oh, it doesn't. That's what it's called?
I think so. Yeah.
That's a weird thing. I think it should be called something else.
A drawing tablet.
Yeah, a digital drawing tablet.
There you go.
Yes. Digital. A DDT. You got a DDT.
I don't know why Dell calls them digitizers. I have no idea.
It's because they're the third party.
Oh, okay.
It'd be interesting to see what Wacom calls it. It's
Right.
probably not a digitizer.
Yeah.
That's fucking ridiculous. That's not digitizer. Do you know what I think a digitizer is? A freaking timer is a digitizer.
Okay.
A watch is possibly a digitizer.
Gotcha.
Not something where
Gotcha.
you're drawing on.
Something that takes off your fingers is a digitizer.
No.
No? Okay.
Not something that big.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm in the land of make-believe, but now we got rules.
Are you excited for it?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I've already like drawn a couple things and I've already kind of loosened up on it a little bit and doing a whole bunch of courses for, Toon Boom Harmony.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward to it.
It was so cool when you were working on it and all the kids were like surrounding you, watching you like draw from scratch Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
And when I came down the stairs and I saw them like just kind of standing around, it did bring up memories, like seeing you drawing like that, and brought up memories when you're in college.
Yeah.
And I used to come visit you.
It felt good and it felt like I was in college, yeah.
Yeah. And seeing you draw, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like, it really brought me back to the room, like to your, to the apartment. And so it was wild to see like, oh my God, like we have kids and they're like watching you draw. This is wild.
I know.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
And then I saw you like you were drawing like the pendulum.
Yes.
Like kind of like a pendulum animation. That was very dope.
That's
to see
like
that.
a basic like 101 animation exercise. And the reason I did that is because I wanted to learn, I guess, the tool, right, that I'm working with. So there's a bunch of like different tutorials that you go through to get more familiar with it. So yeah.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Well, I'm happy for you. I'm happy to see you like back into it.
Yes. Okay, baby. So what are we doing today?
I just had one more thing. One
Sure.
more little story.
Sure.
When I went to the hairdresser, so I went to see my hairdresser TK. Shout out to TK, the Texture and Balayage Specialist. Balayage, specialist.
Wait, what? Balayage?
Balayage, yeah.
Isn't that like brooming? Isn't that like French for the word brooming?
It does lean in the French word of that.
Sweeping.
Of sweeping. But
Yeah.
it does, doesn't it?
Balayage. Maybe.
Right, balayage.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I never even thought of that.
I don't know.
But when you Google balayage, it just shows nothing but hair. So I think it has to do. Maybe it's a word related to hairstyle or
like a sweeping hairstyle,
styling. Maybe I think it's style. I think it leans on styling.
Awesome.
Anywho,
okay.
Yeah. So she's so cute because she was like, she's like, oh, I didn't know what to put on. We've been to her before, like when we went with Lita. She put on TV like cartoon, right? Like she put on Netflix and asked her, "What do you want to watch?" And I think Lita winded up. I can't remember what she put on.
Yeah.
But but then when I was there, she put on 90s music, and she's like, "Oh, I figured maybe you'd like it." Now I thought at first I was like, "Oh, okay," and then for a split second I was like, "Should I be? Is this a read?
Right
on my age?
Right.
I was like, wait, what? So
90s music.
Like why you gotta be putting on 90s music? What you trying to say? Like,
F your 90s music.
Right. Like, babe, I was kind of slight about it. And then I was like, hey, I enjoy all sorts of music. It, doesn't have to be just 90s. We try to be like, hey, I'm a cool 40-year-old. I listen to all music. Okay. So I was like, but you know what? The only music I'm not gonna listen to is polka. Sorry, polka fans. But yeah, I felt like it was a bit of a little slight on my age.
Okay.
But anywho, to go into that, so when she started playing, she's playing all this like YouTube music, 90s music.
Some of that could be pretty problematic.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah. So Michael Jackson, Remember the Time comes on.
Okay. And
then we're like, it comes on. She's like, oh, I love that song. I was like, I love it too. I love the video. And so we're both like, remember the time when you fell in love. You remember the time we first met, girl. So that
I remember.
Yeah. So then I'm like, okay, cool. We're watching the video, and now we're at the part where, yes, we're at the part where Iman is on the bed, and then she's like, the little cubby lion is on the bed with her, and then she has that stick, like that the queens have back then, and then yes, and then he's like, she's stroking the little stick. You can fast forward a little bit, like so people can hear the music.
That's right, because there's a whole because Eddie Murphy's in that video.
Right. So he's like impressing. Yeah, he's like the magician trying to impress, or being the entertainment magician, right?
That's who she cheated with, right? The magician.
Right.
So he's like he's like dirty macking in front of
Eddie Murphy. And I realized at that part, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, he needs to die.
Did I just subscribe to this song that it's like...
Humans are complicated, man. It's exciting.
It's a song about a dirty Mac.
Yeah.
Trying to tell this woman, hey, remember like when we used to do things, we were together?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, oh my God.
And get mad about it too, right?
Yeah. Do you remember, girl? Yeah. Like I was like, oh my God. I am subscribing to a total Dirty Mac song.
Yeah.
TK, but she's like, yep. I'm so sorry, Shirley. It's like, this is changing everything. Like the 90s is full trash.
Yeah,
even
Gen
Michael.
X? Oof, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So then, remember Saturday, my brother calls and he's like, remember the movie 16 Candles?
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah. And then he's like, what did he say? He said something like, oh my God, there's like a scene. It's like trash. This movie's trash.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. I still don't remember the part that he talks about.
Which part was he talking about?
Did you say no? Maybe I'm thinking of a different movie.
I mentioned Revenge of the Nerds.
Revenge of the Nerd.
Yeah.
Right. Basically, he just
Straight up rape scene right
I
there.
can't
Yeah.
remember what was it about her underwear being passed around or something.
That was in 16 Candles. Yeah, he paid her or I can't remember if he paid her.
I think it's those things.
He wanted the underwear so he could show his friends that he had gotten into the underwear.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was just that scene that my brother was pointing out that was also trash. But that was trash.
No. Oh yeah, there's a scene where like I think the grandmother like grabs her breast. Like, because the family comes over, right? But everybody's forgetting her birthday.
Right.
Right? So she's all like in her feelings about it because she's all like, oh, everybody's having a great day, but it's my birthday.
Right. Nobody's remembering. Right.
And completely just overlooking her and stuff. And then her grandmother's there that day for some reason. And she just like straight up grabs her boobs.
That's trash. That happened to me, eh?
I know.
With my grandmother's friend.
I know.
Who did that to me.
And my uncle did that to you too.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was 16 too when my grandmother's friend did that.
Yeah.
Some random fucking woman.
Yeah. I remember the moment. It was at my parents' house when my uncle did it. And he kissed me right on the mouth and then grabbed your boobs. I was like oh
what
my God.
Like boomer consent is
Yikes.
not like a,
Yeah.
it's
a big
out,
joke.
it's way over their heads.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So, yeah. So then we started naming all these movies and we're like, yeah, like Ghostbusters. That part when he's like, he barges in her. He literally barged in her apartment.
Yeah.
Like,
he does
bang.
not, first of all, like he doesn't believe her. Second of
Right.
all, he acts like he believes her. And his motives are not to protect her from ghosts.
It's to try to get in her pants. Yeah. Like totally. I know. I remember seeing that scene. I was like, wait a minute. Hold up.
Yeah, the coercion
laughed at that.
involved. Like, yeah. Oh, yeah. Same here. Same here.
So we're just kind of pointing out all these like.
I remember in Revenge of the Nerds, I was like, oh, yeah, the nerd
I
gets
still
the
don't
girl
remember
kind
that
of thing.
part in the movie.
In Revenge of the Nerds?
Yeah, at all.
He dresses up like Darth Vader and pretends that he's her boyfriend.
That's horrible.
And then just right after they're done, he lifts his mask up and it's not her boyfriend.
That's bad. I think.
And she's okay with it.
Oh my! You can't play that movie on TBS.
No.
Oh my God.
So bad.
There's so, but if they do, they probably take out that scene.
I don't
They
know. Maybe.
have to.
Yeah, they got to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then I remember that to serve and report or to observe and report with
Who's that?
maybe it's not that. It's okay. There's a movie with Seth Rogen and Anna Faris.
Oh, I remember. Yes, you were telling me this.
Yeah.
No, you have to go into it because for other people who have not.
He's bringing her home. She's drunk. I think they went out on a date or something like that. And I stopped watching the movie at that point because.
You stopped watching the movie at that point?
Yeah, because he's raping her. She's
Right, 'cause
passed
she's
out.
drunk.
She's
Oh.
drunk. She's barfing out of the side of her mouth.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Seth Rogen
bad.
and Anna Faris,
bad.
y'all gotta have someone to explain it.
It's
Whoever
bad.
wrote that part.
It's
God
bad.
damn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
no.
normalization of rape culture is.
It's really bad.
Oh my God! There's a whole scene in Revenge of the Nerds where I just remember this right now.
Really?
Where they break into an all-women's sorority house.
Okay, I remember
and
that.
They just ransack their underwear and they like barge in on them when they're in their showers. They take their underwears. They just throw them all over. It's crazy.
It's so
They called it a panty raid, where they just smash into this private domicile shared by women, all men,
Ah,
just to take their panties.
that's bad. So bad. Nope. Yeah.
These movies
Yeah.
were what was teaching young boys.
That's real.
You know what I mean?
That's real.
Yeah.
And created for like their moms or their sisters or their aunts or
Yeah.
their friends or girlfriends
Yeah.
who happen to identify as girls to say boys will be boys.
Yeah. There's another movie that I can't remember, but there's a scene where
It's
this
not
girl,
okay.
this girl
Why
is
did we
riding
think of
horseback, and another girl just walks
Is
over
this
and
the same movie?
no,
Revenge?
it's a different movie.
Okay.
But there's a girl who's riding horseback because they go to like this rich preppy school, right? It's always this rich preppy school,
Yeah.
and
Which
this
is
other
usually
girl-
rich preppy schools are trash.
this
just
other
like-
girl just comes up behind her and just rips her shirt off. So she's like riding without a shirt now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Consent was
Yeah.
not a thing
No.
back.
No.
back in the days. Bad.
Consent was for suckers.
Yeah.
Take.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah.
Oh, is that your agency? Yoinks.
Mm.
Is that your body autonomy?
We should check out some 80s movie and write down this part was not consensual or
No,
this
I don't
is
feel like
the
watching
trash.
that. No. It's just it's like a cringe fest.
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah. It's a lot of
Yeah.
Jeez.
And then you got to write a whole op-ed about it and just
right?
how rapey Revenge of the Nerds is. Yeah.
No. Yeah. That's true. To make you feel better.
Right.
After watching this trash.
You just got to expunge it from your body. Just,
right.
Just purge it.
Exactly.
That was the thing, man. I remember being a kid and being wanting to watch Revenge of the Nerds. There's a National
Weird
Lampoon's
Science.
Weird Science.
Yeah, there was a movie we even mentioned.
Real Genius.
What's the one with Michael J? Risky Business? No, not Risky Business. That's
Strictly
Tom.
Business.
Is that with Michael J. Fox?
Yeah.
I can't remember the part that my brother was saying that part was bad.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was bad. I was like, that's real. Why was I okay with this?
Yeah, just being conditioned to normalize all this stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That don't get me into. Yeah, this is the reason why I'm just gonna say people like Woody Harrelson. No, oh my bad. I'm so sorry, Woody Harrelson. Not Woody. I meant to say.
Neither of them listen to the show.
Okay, what's his name? God, the director there. Oh, hold on.
Woody Allen?
Woody Allen. Thank you. This is the reason why Woody Allen was able to make the type of money because he came out during those eras.
Sure.
And creating storylines to normalize. I didn't realize he had I've never been into his movies. I really always thought his movie was mediocre.
The only movie I thought was funny, the only movie I've ever seen is The Sleeper.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, The Sleeper. And there's another one called Everything You Wanted to Know About Sex But Were Afraid to Ask.
Yeah.
But they do a whole I remember in that movie they do a whole
so much trash.
Yeah, anti-trans or there's a whole cross-dressing or something. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. Anyway,
his approach to stuff is pretty groomy and creepy. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's what and when they were showing clips of his movies in that documentary, I was like, look, it reeks of grooming.
Yeah.
It reeks to tell men that this is okay.
Yeah.
You're being brainwashed right there in this movie. This trash of a person is telling you this is okay.
Yeah.
And I never got that. And
Me neither.
And I was young seeing I just thought something's weird about this.
Yeah.
The
whole dialogue too, I don't know what to do. I'm this really old guy, and you're this really young chick that's into me. I don't know if that's right. I don't know what to do. I'm so conflicted. And then she's all no, it's fine because I love you and everything is great.
Safe because you're the awkward nerd guy. So that means you're safe, and you're not like the other jockey guys. No, you're still trash.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's a whole nother episode.
Yeah. Let's not even get into the abuse of his daughters.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, we're gonna have to talk about that though. Well, about that documentary.
Do we though?
Anywho, in the news.
News. I like the news. What is in the news? Yay, the news is not bad.
So we know by now about the indigenous communities that are grappled with what to do with all these old residential schools. As you know, there was the survivors of Canada's indigenous schooling system is recalling the horrors of what they've experienced. And that was all part of the Truth and Reconciliation.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
It's a huge document.
Yeah. Pardon me?
The Truth and Reconciliation documentation.
Yes.
There's tons of it.
Yes. So the TRC have been pushing since 2009, asking the government since 2009 for 1.5 million. I thought it was billion. I think it should be billion. But only $1.5 million in order to investigate, because that was part of the TRC, is to investigate all these residential schools because their job is one of their thing was they gathered stories from residential school survivors. And a lot of them were talking about exactly what we're discovering, where in Kamloops, they found the remains of 215 children.
Yeah.
You're telling
That's
me
like $100,000 per school, I think. I think that's what it works out to.
Yeah. Yeah,
it could
yeah.
be even less than that.
Because how many residential schools? I think it's like 125 or something like that.
Yeah.
Around the 120 something
Ronan,
range.
can you divide 1.5 million by 139? We'll find out. We'll get a number from that.
Yeah,
Because I'm just curious as to like what the average is given per residential school area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
1.5 million divided by 139. And that's a hard number, right? 139 residential schools. They know that that's the real number, the full number.
I think so.
Okay.
Let me hold on. Let me
Okay.
Google that.
Yeah, 1,500,000 divided by 139.
Okay, so in Canada, an estimated 150,000 Indigenous children are believed to have attended one of about 150 residential school that operated between 1880 to 1996. Yeah.
So they get just over $10,000, thank you, for each school.
How much? Sorry, say that again.
Oh, just over $10,000 for each school to investigate it.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So at the time, that was back in...
Sounds low,
Yeah.
but if that's what was asked for, makes sense.
Yeah. So a couple of days before Indigenous Day, too, that they announced, like it was like end of May, around May 30th or something like that, that it was the when they found the remains of 250 children.
15?
215 at a Kamloops Indian residential school in BC.
Mm-hmm.
And then now recently, or the latest one was why is this open? This advertisements sometimes be like, now it's like 700, I believe, of unmarked graves found at a former residential school, I believe in Saskatchewan, is it? Yeah, yes, it is. Saskatchewan. Marieville Residential School, where they found 750 unmarked graves. And the numbers keep going. I don't know who...
Yeah, they just started.
Right? Right?
Yeah. And they got to raise their own money to do these investigations.
Right.
Yeah. No government support.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So... I mean, Catherine Rose on Twitter said, in the span of 24 hours, over 100 bodies of Indigenous youth have been found. 104 at a residential school in Manitoba.
Mm-hmm.
That's another one.
Mm-hmm.
And 35 in Saskatchewan. And then that added 750. Again, the numbers just keep adding up. And somebody else, Kim, tweeted, Canadians are shocked because they have bought into the myth that Canada is racism free. Canada was built on racism, y'all. I'm adding the y'all, but like get it together. Like Canada is also part of a horrible history and continued racism.
As Canada's history for Chief McLeod and so many others, this is happening to them right now in present tense.
Yeah, I don't think it's correct to say that it's really a historical event, in that some of the same patterns that we saw alive in government policy that led to residential schools are sadly still casting a very deep and active shadow on the lives of First Nations, Métis and Inuit children today.
And Cindy, when you listen to the chief's comments, they're talking about how he thought he was weak, talking about the horrific experiences that he had at those residential schools, but now realizing he's strong. That talks about the sort of mental anguish and pain these children went through these residential schools. It's remarkable to hear that now he's realizing, boy, I really was strong.
You know, children do that, don't they? Like when something terrible is happening, they often just internalize it. And that's the real tragedy of this. The other tragedy of this, and this is important for your viewers to know, is that Canada knew about the outstanding, horrific death rates at the residential schools as early as 1907. And they had the tools to address it. What was happening is Canada was underfunding children's health in residential schools. And that was leading, according to their chief medical health officer, to death rates as high as 25% and 50% over 3 years. Canada was called on to remedy that. The media covered it in different newspapers all across Canada. And even a lawyer who read that paper said that in that Canada failed to obviate the preventable causes of death, it brought itself into unpleasant nearness with manslaughter. So Canada knew about it, and they still didn't take the action needed to save these children's lives. The children also died, of course, from abuse and maltreatment, but they also died in numbers numbering about 4,000 to 6,000 from preventable disease like tuberculosis.
I mean, and it's continuing. Here's the thing, though. A lot of people uncovering this past history. I mean, there are now, you go on TikTok, specifically, like if you search for Indigenous TikTok or Native TikTok, I saw someone who looked like, he said he's 30 years old and came out of residential school not too long ago. And how the media presents it like it's mostly like affected that all these residential school survivors are like elderly. No, there are kids his age that experienced this not too long ago. And it's continuing. Like it's just.
Yeah, what grade were you in 1996?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think high school. Just come out of high.
Yeah, we were in high school.
Yeah.
We graduated, I think, 1996 or 97. Because I think 97 is when I went to college. No, 96 is when I went to college. So I think we might have graduated in 95.
Yeah. We graduated around 94, 95, actually. So
when were residential schools?
The last one
canceled?
was 1996.
Yeah. So it's this lifetime's memories.
Yeah, for many. Still. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Sheesh.
Canada government is trash for this.
Yeah.
Trash.
Yeah. There's another part of this, too, that it's important. I really want others to hear.
Provincial and municipal governments should be stepping up on this, too.
Yeah.
Like some residential school survivors attended these schools, but they didn't stay overnight, so they're not allotted the same benefits here from the government?
They're all being treated differently. You've got, the typical residential schools, you've got day schools, and then there's other situations that First Nations families and communities are trying to advance. Basically, you're talking about a wide-scale, calculated Indian policy, which was about, getting rid of the so-called Indian problem by whatever means necessary. And that's why they didn't care about the deaths of these children or the abuses that happened in things like day schools or in Indian hospitals or in youth corrections or in prisons or in mental health institutions or with forced sterilizations. I mean, all of these things are part of a package, and we shouldn't look at it separately. But like Cindy said, the fact that it's still happening today, that we're still having high rates of sexual abuse and sexual assault of children in foster care, of children that aren't being provided for, of youth corrections, over incarcerations, there's still forced sterilizations, forced child surrenders, all of it is all intricate and works together. And so that's why it's so important that Canadians see this link between the past and what continues to happen today and the legacy. Because if you look at the numbers of Indigenous peoples in prison, more than a third of them came from residential schools and 2/3 of them come directly from the foster care system. We are not changing what we did in the past, and that's got to stop.
And Cindy, in your last answer, you were just listing off the various ways Canada is still fighting against Indigenous peoples in different sort of cases. A lot of people might be listening to this conversation and thinking, but I thought Justin Trudeau was the prime minister who was going to fix this and change this. What's happening?
Yeah, it's a really good point. I mean, we saw the survivors courageously come forward in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and from that, there were 94 calls to action. The Prime Minister agreed to all of those. He said it in public, but his government is doing things very differently, and it is actually perpetuating the harm. In fact, we have a decision from the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal about 165,000 children, where the tribunal, as late as 2019, found Canada to be willfully and recklessly discriminating against these children in ways that separate them from their families unnecessarily, and in some cases contribute to the deaths of these children.
Damn.
So the government needs to bring it into alignment, and I think we have the upcoming federal election, which is a great opportunity for us as citizens to say to whoever arrives at our door that they have to implement all these TRC calls to action, all the murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls calls to justice, and make this stuff stop. That is the most important contribution anyone in the public can do.
Yeah.
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 I've been through foster care.
Okay.
And I can tell you that my experience was definitely a privileged one.
They say because you're white.
Yeah. I do not have the same experience that I keep hearing about from the foster care of Indigenous people, from our friend Francis.
Yeah.
Shout out to Francis. We miss you,
Love
buddy.
you.
Love you. But his experience in foster care is I can't even.
Yeah.
I can't even.
He's still in foster care, and he is an adult.
Yeah.
And
I was in foster care. They didn't split me up from my sister. They kept us together, which is probably a white thing, because from what I understand, the more common practice is to split family members up.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'm not sure, but that's what I heard.
Do you think they put a little like hidden note, like white kids, and then they kind of pass the file like, oh, these are white kids?
I think white kids get priority in terms of like reliable families.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Because I wasn't in a home that had like multiple kids. Yeah.
Yeah, so you were in the foster care. You were not separated, where usually you've heard stories.
Yeah,
where...
I think there's an unwritten. Sorry, you just reminded me.
Yeah,
I think that there's an unwritten kind of like premium placement.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Where it's like you look at the child, you look at them, and if you have a bias for whiteness, and if you have an anti-black bias as well, and an anti-Indigenous bias, then you're going to fast track these to, I guess, what would be considered premium homes, where it's like well-to-do couples who have steady income, a lot of it, extra space, things like that. Yeah. Like stuff that,
they know
kids
historically
need. Right.
they're not,
right.
they're together.
We're
not like, they're, together in every level.
Right. And then I hear about some Black and Indigenous stories where they're in a house with like 8 other foster kids with like one person who comes through every once in a while. And it's like,
someone who comes 1 or 2 or 3 people that comes through maybe every 6 or 8 hours.
They don't even act like parents. They don't even like show them the normalcy of parenting.
They're like
what I understand.
They're like security guards almost.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my God. Which I mean, if
I could be totally wrong on how the foster care system works, but this is my experience from what I remember and from what I hear of other foster experiences that are non-white.
And you saying that, I just had an aha moment, because by placing kids who are not white, predominantly Black and Indigenous, in a system of foster care where they're sharing a room, one room, they have their own room in an apartment or in a home, like a dorm, it sets you up to start having the mindset to move you from dorm to prison, because it's like sharing a room, but now in a fucking facility.
Yeah.
And then you have someone coming in every 6 to 8 hours.
Yeah.
Like those fucking guards in prisons.
Yeah.
But instead of a guard at a foster care, it's a social worker.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the foster care to prison pipeline, I think, is pretty real.
It's like you precondition these kids already to
be institutionalized.
To be institutionalized.
And the thing is, like I can understand that this is a system that developed off of little cuts, right? Like it's it's the system that's hemorrhaging, and it's in big trouble because a lot of people are dying, but it got there from little cuts, like little things that grow over time, kind of thing. And I think that it's not that we look at like how the system got there, but like nobody's stopping it. Like nobody's like saying like hey, we've got this system that like funnels Black and Indigenous people to our prisons, and nobody's like, hey, we need to put a stop to this.
Did you know? I mean,
Do you know what I mean? Like the government is just like, hey, this is how it is.
7% of the population in Canada are Indigenous, and 54% of them are in prison. 4% of the population in prison are Indigenous.
Oh my God!
When you're looking at statistically, there's only 7% of them.
Yeah, you got to feed
in this country.
You got to feed the prisons for the capitalists. Yeah.
Dang,
Yeah.
man. Wow.
Speaking of mind blowing.
Wait, what were you gonna? Is it related?
I forgot to do the word of the show.
Oh, you did.
But we can do it.
We'll do it after
Yay!
this.
After the news is over, we're doing the word.
Yes, we're
going
to do the word.
Sounds good, baby.
So, because of all of this, we're bringing this up because it's really, I mean, when the 150-year-old Canada Day, and they were dishing out all this money,
right?
The government, right?
And bragging about it.
You and I were like, this is some bullshit. Because we were aware about residential schools and the ugliness. I did not know the level of ugliness. It's one thing.
I had somebody at work ask me, like, why are people freaking out? Because, Canada is going to celebrate this 150 year. And I'm like, are you joking?
Are you serious?
Yeah. And he's like, what do you mean? It's like, because Indigenous communities don't have drinking water, but they're going to put $150 million into a party? Are you kidding me?
Right. Right.
That's insane.
Yeah. Parks were free.
Yeah. And they were like, oh, shit, I never thought of it that way. And I'm like, well, yeah, you and most of Canada.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's been a conversation about this year on canceling Canada Day, right? And so
it's not even, sorry to interrupt, but it's not even a conversation for me. I canceled Canada Day a long time ago. I don't celebrate
We don't
that
celebrate
shit.
it. We've not celebrated for years. It's just. And that's our own personal choice. As for some people want to still find a way to understand what's going on, and anywho,
I'll be proud to be Canadian once I know that the Indigenous people
have fucking clean drinking water. Sorry.
Yeah. Starting with that, but also have, I guess, matched life expectancies, have like matched access to education.
That settlers pay their rent.
That they get the rent that's due.
Yes.
They get all of it.
Yes.
I mean, that's when I'll be proud to be Canadian.
And when I say settlers, that's all of us. Yeah. All of us Canadians are settlers of this land.
Yeah. And I don't know who said it, but they said you can tell a lot by a nation by how it treats its poor. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I don't want to be proud to be Canadian because our poor and disenfranchised people at the moment are getting fucked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're literally dying.
Yeah.
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 But you can be proud to be Canadian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is
you know what's going to be funny? Your grandkids are going to look at your pictures on Facebook of you with a big Canada flag on saying proud to be Canadian. But meanwhile, they're digging up Indigenous children.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, I did.
Good luck with that.
I hosted, so I host like every other Thursday a clubhouse for Black Canadian content creators. Mm-hmm. I call it Plug In Thursday, where I bring up like conversations like this about for creators to talk about.
You're plugging it right now.
See that? Heard that?
It's a plug-inception.
Plug-inception. and one of the person who, she has a business and she used to be a social worker. And when this very article was brought up to the conversation, you could tell her blood was boiling. She's like, I'm sorry, but this really freaking gets me. And this is one of the reasons why I left, because I just couldn't do this anymore. And she was explaining on what she was exposed, because she was not aware on how much of, as a social worker, that was the common thing she was seeing as Indigenous kids, Black kids, but really a lot of Indigenous kids being fucked over by the system. And how you could see how it's so deep. Like, here's an example of this. If you have a survivor, okay, of a residential school who went through all sorts of
Abuse,
neglect. Right? Neglect, physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, trauma. Like one of the things I read what they would do to kids in order to stop them to speak their language, right? Their First Nation language.
They terrorized these kids.
They used to take a needle and poke their tongue every time.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was one example of it that I read somewhere. Yeah, that I read. It was like an actual or a grassroots organization that was explaining what is a residential school, what did they do at the residential school, what was the reason to have a residential school. It's a really cool like carousel that kind of shows you. Yeah.
And
that was one example of punishment.
Okay.
In speaking your language. Who knows what other residential schools did?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so,
can I add something here?
Yeah.
This is why University X is known as University X now.
Right.
Because
and not Ryerson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Ryerson Egerton, I think that's his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is the designer of not only the public school system, but the residential school system.
Yeah, it was all his idea.
All his like rules, all his like, how do you deal with a Indigenous kid who wants to keep speaking his language and doesn't want to learn, the King's English or whatever the fuck. Yeah. You poke him in the tongue with a fucking needle.
Yeah.
Like these kids, every time they're placed in a situation where nothing is built for them. And every time they step out of line, it's torture.
Yeah.
It's literal torture.
Right.
Like, how are you going to be proud of that?
Right? Yeah. It's anyway, to go back to, I'm just example here. So here you have a person who's gone through this trauma, becomes a parent, right? Not everyone has the strength to become stable.
I think I know where you're going.
However you want to say it, right? And so it creates for, like, one example, one residential school survivor, she talked about remembering as a kid burying other kids. Like, she was 9 or 10 years old, and she remembers because at her school, and this trigger warning, please, trigger warning. At her school, the girls were being raped so much by the priests. They were all like becoming pregnant, obviously, and they would carry to term. And she remembers burying babies at her age, like at 9, 10 years old, at her residential school. Yeah. Some other survivors have talked stories about the babies being burnt alive and remembering the quick scream, like very split second of babies being burnt alive. Some others where the babies were placed in the walls of the school, like anyway.
This is a shared story with African Americans.
Yeah.
Yeah, and slaves.
Yeah, and so she was saying for her
enslaved folk.
Yeah, she was like a huge activist in the 60 Scoop, and so she was remembering stories, and actually there's a documentary about this woman who happens to be the filmmaker's aunt, and how she was asking her the question about you could talk about it, and she was hesitant. She's like, she's like, I don't know if I could talk about it. And she goes, why auntie? And she said, oh, because the government.
Yeah.
And I was shocked when I heard, I was like, oh, these kids
conditioned
now
into
adults,
silence.
were conditioned to silence. Someone or the government told them you cannot talk about it. Or they're scared to talk about it.
Oh, it was the government.
Right.
Oh, it was the government.
And then she told her, no, auntie, like, I'm a filmmaker, that this is supported by this. They're all about, it's totally open. You're safe. It's fine. Right. And that's when she went into the story of remembering burying kids at her age.
Oh my God.
And so for her, she's fine. But for some, it creates trauma where it could lead to taking drugs because handling that kind of trauma is too much for the mind, right? So drugs or alcoholism or food or
Well, surely they have zero access to healthcare. Therefore, they have to self-medicate.
right,
Do you know what I mean?
self-medicate anyway.
Like,
Right. So I'm just using this example. So now you have
yeah.
these kids who become parents and are not like mentally, emotionally, physically, like mostly mentally and emotionally there. And it causes for the kids to be either neglected or either like things like that. And this is where the system continues, right? Because some of the parents they can't handle. I'm not saying that some parents can handle, because there's a lot of parents too who are Indigenous and they are great parents, but somehow the freaking system finds their way to grab their kids. Like people like say some fucked up shit. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. And so my point is that
It happens the way it happened to you in Montreal.
right. So it just goes.
There's a system in place,
right,
to grab
these kids.
Yeah.
And so here's what this person, to go back to the conversation and what we had on Clubhouse, who's talking about, like, she was noticing, oh my gosh, in my work, I'm seeing a lot of Indigenous kids in foster care. What the frick is this, right? And it's not that it doesn't happen to Black, it happens to a lot of Black kids. And then she was saying is one of the things is if one parent happened to have a child was taken by child services, and then that parent becomes pregnant, it's like a stamp in their file. And then what happens is when that parent has a baby, right away it puts an alert, like it to the hospital, kind of puts a like in like, hey, this person already has a kid in the system. So let's also look at that baby and start looking right away. As soon as that kid is born, we're gonna go check up on that kid, and it just kind of goes from there.
Yeah,
it's horrible. And if you're Canadian and you think it's real, like this is continuing to happen. It's just not residential schools anymore. Now it's the YRC. Now it's the children's services that are. It's not. That's what it's called.
It's the
now.
new residential.
It's
school.
the new residential school now to put these kids in foster care.
Right.
So and because of knowing this, how can you have a Canada Day? Like, how do you celebrate Canada Day if people think that
knowing
this is
that
something
there's so
that
much imbalance?
Yeah, that knowing that it's presented by media that residential school is something that happens in the past, but it's not. It's just transformed now into foster care. And it's still going on. And if that is still going on and it's transformed that way, how do you have a Canada Day?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so
there's way too much to be ashamed of right now.
Exactly.
Yep.
And it's still going on. So there's an amazing Instagram account that I follow. It's called On Canada Project. It's all about mobilizing millennials and Gen Z to create equitable, evidence-informed change, right? And one of the things, it's 100% grassroots. And they have like a post related to this on Canada Day. And it says, I love Canada Day. And I also know that we need to know and do better for the Indigenous people of this land. We are in a period of national mourning, and as such, I will not celebrate Canada Day this year. And they go into, I exist in solidarity with the Indigenous people of this land we now call Canada. And so what they say, if you're not going to celebrate Canada Day, to look at it and acknowledge it as a moment of national mourning, and observe it by wearing black or orange and having compassionate but difficult conversation with loved ones about residential schools and so on.
Hashtag cancel Canada Day.
Yeah. It says, I will not donate what I would normally spend on fireworks and other Canada Day themed items, or $91. You know what I mean? That basically the money you would have spent on Canada Day items, t-shirts, fireworks, these kind of things, take that
A
money.
huge $150 million party.
Right. Take that money and give it to the Indian Residential School Survivors Society instead.
Right.
Also, it says, I promise to do better, to be better than the non-Indigenous people of the past and practice ongoing solidarity with Indigenous people of this land by 1, learning about the land I live on and the Indigenous people of it by visiting native-land.ca. Number 2, reading about the Truth and Reconciliation Report, in particular, the 94 calls to action, and learning about how I can do more as an individual. And number 3, taking action by emailing my elected officials and demanding immediate action on the Truth and Reconciliation Report findings and 94 calls to action. So if you want to visit their Instagram, or you can visit their site on canadaproject.ca/settlers take action.
Nice.
Is where you can visit.
Nice.
If you want to, do more on in brackets on my fingers on July 1st, let's just say.
Yeah.
This is what you can do on July 1st.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got fellow humans that we're sharing space with that, are subjugated. They're oppressed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're living by a different set of rules.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just to kind of wrap up on a more soulfulness of all this, there's a gentleman that was doing a ceremony for the children. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to play the video here.
Finally this evening, Adam, here's a story about a remarkable moment caught on camera during an Indigenous ceremony in Campbell River on tonight's Sawatsky sign-off.
This is the last thing that Corey, who's wearing the red bandana, would have imagined he'd be doing if you'd asked him a few years ago.
Well, previous to 2014, I wasn't exactly the model citizen.
He was struggling with addiction and disconnected from his community.
To be honest, I had no business being around my people,
But then at a canoe festival, Corey ended up having a conversation with a stranger who challenged the way he was living his life.
After that, things changed, and I wanted to learn about where we come from and our true responsibilities as First Nations people.
Corey was inspired to become a steward for the environment and started learning about the cultural significance of things like the sacred number 4.
That's always recognizing north, east, south, and west.
And the cultural role that other animals play, like the orca.
When somebody passes away, the past chiefs of their family will come back in the form of the killer whale, the Mahinu, and they will come to carry them off to the spirit world.
Corey also learned about the power of ceremony, like this one in Campbell River, to honor the 215 children found at the Kamloops Residential School.
Everybody had pretty heavy hearts. We were all still really feeling it.
Words were shared and prayers were offered before this paddle song was performed. And then Corey noticed people pulling out their cameras.
Oh my God, awesome.
Of all the animals that could have appeared at that exact moment, it was not 1, but 4 whales.
When that sacred number appeared, wow, that was heavy.
And the man who had once been so disengaged from his culture couldn't have felt more connected to it.
Honestly, one of the most beautiful things I've seen and had the privilege to be part of.
To witness his ancestors, Corey says, and see one of their legends come to life.
I believe that they came to carry those messages to the children, because that's giving those kids
peace.
Their final journey.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It should have taken place a long time ago.
I'm in tears.
CTV News.
Shame on you, Canada. Shame on you, Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah.
Screw
Woo!
capitalism in general. Seriously. What the hell, man?
All right, baby. Do you want to do the word of the show now?
Yes.
Do you need a minute?
Yeah, just get myself together.
Okay.
Woo! But you know what?
Ooh.
All these like discovery, it's like you can't hold a spirit down, especially when it was like treated the way that it was.
Yeah.
You know, and these kids, ooh, just to think about like being found is huge. They needed to be like, you just couldn't hold them down,
Yeah.
you know? So I'm glad that they're getting peace. And I hope that this is the reason why as settlers, like it just totally makes sense. Whatever that you were going to spend, fireworks or anything, like calculate what you thought you were going to spend on celebrating Canada Day and give the money to Indigenous people so they can continue doing the work to help release the spirits of these kids in other residential schools. Period.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah.
I
Okay.
think we should take a break, honey.
Yeah.
All right, baby. The word of the show.
Yes.
Nimiety.
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 Nomadic. Okay. I'm like Yada.
Let me know
what she was trying to say.
Let me know.
Strategically. She's trying to say strategy.
Did you ever hear that kid say subscribe? Subscribe. It's like an Indian kid. He's trying to do like throw down his like YouTube video. You know what I mean? But he kept getting hooked up with a subscribe.
Yes.
I wanted to throw him some money
See
just
if
for
you can
that.
Find that clip.
Subscribe. Nimiety.
See, I'm doing it. Say it again.
Nimiety.
Nimiety.
Yes.
Nimiety.
Yes.
Nimiety.
Tell me what you want. Hint,
What you really want.
So tell me what you want.
What you really want. You got the clip?
So please,
Sorry, kid.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, too cute. Okay, thank you.
Nimiety.
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking of the word nomad. Nimiety. So something about moving or not staying in one place.
Mm-hmm.
So nimiety. What's another one with it?
Do you want a hint?
Yes, go for
Okay,
it.
it comes from the Latin noun nimietas.
I don't tell me nothing.
Oh, okay. I thought Latin roots would help you. Okay, sorry.
I haven't gotten to my lessons yet.
Okay.
Can you give me an example, like in a phrase?
I can.
Okay.
As a white cishet male who uses he, him pronouns, I hold and experience a nimiety of privilege within our current society. Do you want another one?
No, so read that phrase again for me.
Okay. As a white cishet male who uses he, him pronouns, I hold and experience a nimiety of privilege within our current society.
A position. Like it's like a unchanged position.
Okay.
Like it can't be.
Let me give you another example.
Okay.
Video games need to contain a nimiety of customizable options for the player to enjoy.
Say it again.
Video games need to contain a nimiety of customizable options for the player to enjoy. Comes from the late Latin noun nimietus. It's a derivative of the adjective nimius.
Choices? Like many options? Many options. Having different options.
Ding, 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 ding.
Oh, no way. Are you serious?
Yeah. It's an excess, an overabundance.
Oh,
yes. Yes. Well done, sweetie.
Yay! Well, no, that was well done on amazing phrases and example, and I'm actually paying attention. That's the biggest thing.
Perfect.
You know why? Because I was listening to an old episode of ours,
Uh-huh.
and you did a word, and I was like, and when I was in the car, I guessed it because I forgot the word.
Right.
Right. So sometimes it happens. Like, well,
Sure.
and I was like, why did I not pay attention? I said to myself, it was right there in the phrase.
That was the heart-shaped box.
Yes. Yes. Oh, I have one more quick thing before we get into Bible scriptures.
El Scriptos Biblico.
I just wanted to give a shout out to my mentee, Afua. She wrote an amazing article. Thanks to her article, it's
Shout out to Afua.
Omopiano, where Afro beats and Amapiano meet. And it's a great article that she wrote for the magazine. Let me see the magazine. Heart. The name of the site. Okay. Armatan Rain is a music and arts curating platform for emerging and alternative music by Africans.
Nice.
So on that site, that's where she wrote the article about Omopiano, which is awesome. And it's basically a music genre that is based out of predominantly South Africa, especially in Accra, Lagos, and Johannesburg. And it's a subgenre. It's not Afrobeat, but when I was listening to it, and I'll play a little clip here, it's like if Afrobeat, electro, and neo soul had a baby.
That sounds like the perfect mix.
Yeah, that's how I would cut it. I'm just gonna play a little clip here.
Sounds like the superhero of music genres.
This is it. It's pretty chill, like especially because I love to listen to lo-fi. It's the chillness of it.
Oh, I'm a fan.
Right?
Oh my god.
It's so like it's so good.
It gives me that old Chicago house.
Yes! You should see all three of us were like bopping. So if you're interested in listening more, hold on, I'm just gonna. What? It's so good. So I'm just gonna turn it down slowly here. So if you want to listen to more
Keep playing it in the background, honey.
Oh yeah? Okay. We're gonna do like
yeah, I'm not
pros.
done listening to this. Go.
So,
Go.
I know,
Go.
it's so good. There's a kid in his name is Uncle Vinny. He's one of the DJs that plays a lot of Amapiano in South Africa. 19 years old, man. And yeah, like I was like 19 and he's already like he has over 22 million views on TikTok. And he has a dance challenge called Uncle Vinny Challenge Dance.
I can see pop blockers gravitating towards this.
Yeah. Or Chicago House.
Yeah.
Like you said, Chicago House fans.
Yeah.
Dancing it like Chicago House
oh my God.
styles. Like I'm like, yeah.
Let's send some of this to my sister.
Yeah, she might like that.
Oh, she is like all about that.
Yeah. Because your sister loved house because she used to hang out with a lot of.
She's a house nerd.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
She is.
I think she still wears bell bottoms.
Does she?
Yeah.
Yeah, or if you go on like Instagram and you search for hashtag Uncle Vinny, it's all associated with the challenge as well.
Uncle Vincenzo.
But yeah, so they have, if you're interested in listening to songs that combines Omopiano
Here it comes.
and Afro beats, there's a actual mix on both Spotify and Apple Music that the website has created. It's called Omopiano Mix, Omopiano. But the actual genre name is spelled Amapiono.
Sounds like oh no, piano.
Yeah.
Like a piano's dropping on you?
Yeah. So
piano.
Right away after I read the article, I definitely suggest to check out the list, the playlist, on Spotify.
Okay.
Or
Can
there's
you
also,
add that to the show notes?
Yeah.
For the post, yeah.
I'll add the article. And also, there's a new album that's related to the genre called Major League DJs. Album. I guess it's like a mix album type of thing. Yeah, Major League DJs. Actually, maybe it's not out yet. Yeah. But you can check it out, yeah. Major League DJs is another group related to the genre of Amapiano. Yeah, it's pretty dope, man. All right.
Are you ready, sweetie?
Let's do this.
Bible scriptures in honor to honor.
It's that very special time of the show on the ChoNilla podcast where I share with Sherley and friends what I've read in the Bible so far and parody it by trying to make it sound all edgy and shit.
Nice.
All right. So last time we heard about Jonathan and David being BFFs and Saul's body count envy.
Okay.
We also heard about David buying Saul's daughter with 200 foreskins. Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Smell like cheese.
Yeah, smell like cheese. Yeah. Okay. So the players tonight are Saul, Samuel, David, Michael, and a bunch of henchmen.
Okay.
All right. So we're doing the first book of Samuel, chapter 19. Is it super hot out here or what? So we open on Jonathan meeting up with David.
Jonathan. Yeah.
Jonathan is meeting up with David.
Okay.
To warn him
But
that
who's Jonathan again?
Jonathan is I can't remember exactly how to place
Me
him. But
too.
Yeah. But anyways, it'll come
But
to
I
us.
do remember the name Jonathan.
Yeah, it'll come to us.
Okay, yeah.
Let's see here.
So Jonathan's telling David, look, my dad's pissed.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
So, and he's basically saying, like, I'll try and, like, talk him out of killing you. Like, he's so mad, he wants to kill you.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So Jonathan brings his dad near David's hiding spot in the field and is trying to be all casual, like, so David's always been good to you, right? Why do you keep trying to kill him?
Yeah, because he's been, like, playing the harp whenever you started seeing things.
Don't you remember when he killed Goliath?
Mm.
God did all of that, and you know you loved watching it all happen. So why would you keep trying to kill David? So Saul bowed his head and was all like, damn, Jonathan, you're right. I swear to God, I won't kill him.
Mm.
So Jonathan was super excited and called out to David, and he was all like, David, you can come out. My dad said he won't try to kill you anymore.
This is some real house god type of thing
Right.
going on.
So David came out, and they were all friends like when they first met.
Okay.
Yeah, so everything's good. So now we find out that war is breaking out with the Philistines in different places, and David was always on the front line kicking some serious ass. He fought so hard that his reputation started to cause the Philistines to run as soon as they saw him.
Nice.
But then one night, Saul was sitting in his house, all relaxed and casual, and was playing with his spear.
Mm.
David was close by playing his harp instrument, the lyre,
Uh-huh.
and an evil spirit possessed Saul.
Wait, but I thought the harp helps with the evil spirits that Saul goes through.
Saul tried to pin David to the wall with his spear.
Whoa.
Yeah, so David was pretty quick and easily avoided being pinned by Saul. At that point, David decided that he had enough and left Saul's house to go back to his own house.
No more
He's like,
harp playing for you.
I've had enough.
Yeah.
No more of this domestic violence.
Right.
Trying to pin me
Right.
with a spear. You kidding me?
Pinning with the spear.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say nothing else. I'm just...
It's double and triple entendres
There's
on
so
top
many
of entendres. Saul then hires some assassins to kill David
Oh.
because he wouldn't let him pin him with his sword or with his spear. He instructs the assassin to wait outside his house till morning, and the moment that he comes out, to kill him.
Mm.
So David's wife, Michael, notices these guys trying to hide outside the house and warns David, all like, David, there's some guys outside, and I think they're going to try and kill you in the morning. You need to jump out of the window and run for your life. So David jumps out of the window and manages to run away undetected. Michael puts a statue in his bed, puts some wool on top of the statue's head, and covers it up with David's blanket. So the assassins
like a cartoon.
Yeah, exactly, like a cartoon.
Like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. Got it.
So the assassins waited until like noonish and then decided to knock on the door to try and make David come out because nobody was coming out. They're like, he's supposed to come out in the morning. So Michael was the one who answered the door and was all surprised, like, oh, David? Yeah, he's still in bed, not feeling so good. Sorry. And she closes the door. So the assassins go back to Saul to get him caught up, and Saul is not impressed at all.
Yeah, you're assassins.
Yeah.
Do your job.
Yeah. And he's all like, wait, and you just left? You didn't even check to see if he was lying? I want you guys to bring the entire bed he's sleeping in so I can kill him myself.
Wait. Okay. That makes no sense.
Yeah, he wants them to go get the bed that he's sleeping in and bring him the bed instead of just going over there.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like, bring me the bed that he's sleeping in. Yeah.
I think I know why you got demoted, Saul.
Yeah. Right. So we cut to inside David's house, and the assassins kick down the door. And when they grab the bed, they see that it's just a statue with some wool on top. So they bring Michael to Saul instead. So they don't bring the statue, they bring his wife. Yeah. So Saul was super mad and was yelling at Michael, all like, what's with the tricking my assassins and letting David escape? So Michael was all like, he said he was gonna kill me if I didn't help him. Right. Cut to David running to his friend Samuel's house in a place called Ramah. As soon as he gets there, he breaks it all down for Samuel. He breaks it all down for Samuel and how Saul has been trying to kill him the whole time. Saul heard where David was and sent a bunch of men to capture him. But once they got close to Samuel's place, they saw that Samuel was leading a group of men who were all in a trance and mumbling future predictions.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
That's
like
weird.
cult members.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
So the men Saul hired felt the Holy Ghost and forgot all about capturing David and started to mumble future predictions.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Saul heard about this and sent more men, and the same thing happened.
All these men come back.
Yeah. No, they don't come back. They get entranced and they start like mumbling and start saying future predictions.
Okay. Like
Yeah.
invest on Amazon.
Google. Google.
Weinstein. Equal trash.
So Saul heard about that as well and sent even more men to capture David. But so Saul decides to go himself, right? So like Samuel is pretty charming. And what happened was every time he'd send men to get David, they get charmed and start doing these future predictions, start mumbling and stuff.
Yeah.
So Saul decides finally to go himself. And when he got to a place called the Great Cistern of Seku, he asked around for Samuel and David, and they told him they were in Ramah.
Okay.
Yeah. But when Saul got there, and as soon as he saw Samuel, he started to feel the Holy Ghost himself.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
He felt it so strong that not only did he start to mumble future predictions, he stripped himself completely naked.
What is up with that?
Stayed in the same spot for 24 hours. And this got all the people who were prophesizing thinking that Saul might actually be a prophet.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Weird.
Fun Bible fact, Michael is a very common female first name in contemporary Israel. The name Michael has been compared to the French spelling of Michel.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Next time we'll hear more about the ongoing relationship between David and Jonathan. It's complicated.
Isn't it always complicated? But that's what makes relationship exciting. Pass the plate and donate. Pass the plate and donate. Pass the plate and donate. Pass the plate, you gotta donate.
Stop hitting people with your spear.
We learn about the book of Samuel. Chapter 19, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Jonathan meeting up with David, because David's dad is gonna kill him.
Keeps trying to kill him.
You remember about Goliath? Michael lights switch on David. Men were charmed by Samuel and Saul. Also saw the Holy Ghost and got naked. Pass the plate. Might be a prophet.
While
and
everybody's chanting.
Pass the plate and donate.
Making future predictions.
Pass the plate and donate.
So charmed.
Pass the plate. You gotta donate. Go to ChoNilla.com. Actually, sorry, ChoNillaNetwork.com. And click on the donate button at the ChoNillaNetwork.com website, because your donation helps us keep going, helps the network going, and to keep sharing amazing stories like this for you to enjoy.
Yeah.
Whenever I think of Saul, I'm always thinking of Bob Odenkirk from Better Call Saul.
Yeah, me too.
Now that you mentioned the fact that he was naked.
Yeah, now I'm out.
You know, if ever we created like a Bible Scriptures 90210 where someone, every time you do it, I always think like it'd be cool to like do it like a drunk history where someone like
Right.
just kind of like, lip sync to what you're reading.
Gotcha.
And every time it's true. Every time I heard the word Saul, I started thinking of, I always think of the actor who plays Saul to be Saul in the Bible Scriptures 90210
I got you.
thing.
I got you.
Yeah. That's it for
That's
the
everything.
show.
Wrapping it up.
Sign up on the website to find out when we go live or to donate, which helps support what we do by visiting, again, ChoNillaNetwork.com. For show links, images, and see the video or the songs or video clips on the episode, head on over to the community, which is the Facebook group. Again, that's just search for ChoNilla and you'll find the Facebook group where we will post the links of everything that we talked about, the videos as well. And you can see the amazing video of the first song of that lady that looks like Donatella. Wow. Tweet us at ChoNilla and use the hashtag ChoNilla, or you can even use the hashtag ChoNilla Podcast. We'd love to know what you are thinking or any feedback as you're listening to the episode, whether you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, or any other podcast players. If you learned anything and have feedback or a question about the episode, write it as a review. Head over to your Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star review, and we'll read it on the show. We appreciate that. It's a wonderful way for other people to discover the show as well. You can also leave a message if you visit speakpipe.com/ChoNilla. Again, that's speakpipe.com/ChoNilla. Or send us an email, chonillalove@gmail.com. Again, that's chonillalove@gmail.com. Do you have a
quote?
Yes.
I do have a quote. You have one?
Oh.
You don't have to. It's okay.
Don't I usually do like a oh, I have a corny joke.
Okay, go for it.
Hold on a second. Trying to figure out one here. Okay. Why did the Scarecrow win an award?
Why did the Scarecrow win an award?
Yes.
Don't know.
Because he was outstanding in his field. Yeah! You know somebody chuckle. Did you chuckle?
Okay. Let me see. I gotta put, man, my eyes are getting so bad, yo.
Same.
So the quote of the show is, when religion and politics travel in the same cart, the riders believe nothing can stand in their way. Their movements become headlong, faster and faster and faster. They put aside all thoughts of their obstacles and forget the precipice does not show itself to the man in a blind rush until it's too late.
Who said that?
That's Frank Hebert in the book Dune.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, just finished reading that shit. That shit stood out, so...
You finished reading Dune?
Yeah.
That big book?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Just in time before the movie.
Yeah, I think it's a series. Or is it a movie?
I don't know.
Maybe it's a movie series. Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see when we see it.
Thank you for listening, everyone. We look forward to the next one.
Yes. Until then, peace.
And ChoNilla love. What's going on? What happened? Who's that? Where are we?
It's just so much stories.
From the top.
Wait, you're still listening to podcasts? Well, if you love this episode of the ChoNilla podcast so much, just head over to iTunes or Spotify to subscribe and leave a review, I guess.
So please, sarapakarai. Okay, thank you.